7, public hearing to determine fitness of building, block 116.02, lots 4 through 21, Orlando Drive. And this was a continuing hearing from our previous meeting. Councilor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. With us tonight is Mr. Ford on behalf of his client, Orlando Drive Associates. This is a continuation of the hearing that was held at the last Borough Council meeting regarding the habitability of the structure located at 21 Orlando Drive. The evidence that was presented to the council by Lou Guerra is here tonight supports the determination that the building is in fact uninhabitable, and in fact the principal, Mr. DeWitz from Orlando Drive, admitted that the building was in fact uninhabitable. There was an adjournment of the hearing until tonight to work out some, I guess, questions regarding whether demolishing the building would adversely affect the determination of what the riparian setback was from by the DEP. But I want to, I guess, counsel the council that the determination as to whether the building is unfit or not unfit has nothing to do with riparian setbacks. It has to do with the structure itself. So with that being said, Mr. Ford is here. If you're welcome to come in and speak on behalf of your client. Mr. Lewis was previously sworn, he's still under oath. Stan Strack was previously sworn, he's still under oath. And Guerra was previously sworn, he's still under oath as well.
Council, I think you should also advise the town council that it's not only that the property is uninhabitable, but it has to be a danger to the health and welfare of the community. And we have, since the last meeting, locked the fence, and we've picked up some debris. And by the way, we think the debris is on the county property, and we're more than willing to continue to patrol that area. Mr. Guerra can tell you the lock is now on, and we don't feel it's, while it's uninhabitable, we don't think it's a danger to the health and welfare of the community. I mean, it may be aesthetically unpleasing, but we agree it's aesthetically unpleasing, but that's not the standard. The standard is it's a danger. That's a pretty high standard, and we still have the other issue of the DEP permit. My information was that, Stan, you were unable to reach Mr. Lanzafama?
I didn't reach out for Mr. Lanzafama. I just reviewed what the requirements are for riparian, define what the riparian limit is, some conversation with DEP, some conversations with people in my office. The riparian lines determined by vegetation and vegetation removal. There are areas of your site plan that would be affected, but obviously the building's not covering anything that has vegetation. And the second permit I think you had concern was, although we didn't mention it, was a flood hazard permit, which I think is more important.
Right.
But the building, the first floor elevation extends from Orlando Drive level back to the rear of the building. And if you look at the maps prepared by Mr. Lanzafama, which he did in very good detail, it indicates the flood hazard line actually follows the building. So it follows below that first floor elevation. Why is it below the first floor elevation? Because Orlando Drive itself is out of the floodplain, or out of the flood hazard area. So, in my opinion, the walls of the building can definitely come down. If you want to preserve any rights under a permit, the floor slab could stay. And also, it's usually 1 or 2 year, from my own experience, understanding from DEP, if there's a lagging construction before the actual permit's given. I was, and missed that part, I would say, missed that part of the meeting where you did not even apply for your permit yet. I found that out from the DEP. I don't have a registered permit this time.
Right, and the issue was the $11,000 permit fee, which we felt we would wait to the right time to apply.
Right. Right. So, bottom line, in my opinion, again, the riparian line is going to be determined by how much vegetation is removed and what's disturbed, and obviously that's not going to change if the building comes down. And the flood hazard line will not be effective. The first floor stays. The first floor stays.
I got to apologize for just talking in language. If you don't understand it, I don't either.
I understand.
I thought the area of disturbance that we could build where we were currently, that was the issue with the DEP permit.
Well, no, your site plan actually extends beyond where the building is now. Don't forget, you have that walkway in the back that you
Right.
talked about, that's what
Right.
you're talking to with the county.
Right.
You also disturb areas beyond where the building is, buildings are, where your parking lot's going to be. And that's vegetation removal that you haven't removed yet, so that's all still up for discussion with DEP. But the fact that where the building is already disturbed vegetation, there's no vegetation to remove, DEP doesn't have any jurisdiction over that as far as a riparian limit. They do have jurisdiction over the flood hazard line. The flood hazard line is clearly established to wrap around the building below the level of the first floor.
You're saying
And
we don't need a DEP permit?
I did not say that. To develop your site, you need a DEP permit, but to demolish the building, I can't see the DEP has jurisdiction over that, other than for any environmental concerns for removal of environmental material that's close to the river. But you're not removing vegetation to remove the building, unless there's weeds growing up through the building now. But
No, it was my understanding from Michael Anzafama, who I spoke to,
is he here?
no, he's not here, that his recommendation is that until that permit is issued, that we not demolish the building.
That's his recommendation, but I looked at Mr. Rothblatt's plans, so I can't say they're very accurate. The concerning limit for your permit would be the flood hazard line, and the flood hazard line would not be affected by removing the building down to the first floor slab.
I apologize.
It's the third time I've said it.
I know that, and I apologize, but I'm not sure we're talking the same permit. We're not, and I don't understand why this one would make that recommendation. If the only thing we need is the flood hazard permit, and it wraps around the building, and it doesn't, the building's on top.
You need determination of the riparian line. Correct. Riparian lines judge on many criteria, can vary from 50 feet to 100 feet. You're looking at 50 feet, which I had discussions on. I didn't disagree with that when you came before the board, and that's why you had preliminary to get determination from DEP. But that's because you disturbed the area. It was a working building. There was gravel, paved areas around you. It's disturbed. You're not removing vegetation to affect it.
That's the permit.
That's the permit. You are removing vegetation in other areas of that site. I would be concerned, but not for the buildings.
Yeah, that's the permit that he's concerned with, to accept that, 50 feet. Because that's really concerned, because
But if you take the building down to the slab, it's still disturbed. And the slab, if you take it down to the slab, it's not going to affect your flood hazard.
right, it's not going to, I don't know if that's the issue that Mr. Armstrong.
Counselor, what is the issue? Because I understood at least 3 times him answering your question. So if the issue isn't disturbance and maintaining the slab, but everything above that being removed, then what is your issue?
Well, my issue is, Andrew Neal recommends that we not demolish the building.
Fine, you can
Okay,
recommend.
until we get this permit.
Fine.
Okay? Number 2, the building is not a danger to the health and safety of the community. And, I've heard no testimony that it is.
What you did last time. Last time you looked at it.
It's the health, safety, and welfare of the community, right? So you have, what you presented with is a building that's been burned out, that's been broken down, it's been sitting vacant, that has debris throughout the premises, that has a 6-foot-high fence, Lou?
Yes.
Cyclone fence, kind of a thing,
Yes.
surrounding it. That's just been sitting there. So what is the welfare of the community, right? What constitutes the welfare? It's not just a safety issue. It is, contrary to what you're saying, it is involving aesthetics and the view sheds and what it means to the overall impact on the community. So, and I'm not entirely convinced that simply putting a fence around there is going to alleviate the concerns on the safety.
Well, yeah, and what we're trying to do here is to gather facts, and then we have to make a policy judgment based upon the statute. And are there any other facts that you want to bring forth?
Mr. Stan mentioned the DEP issue.
Right.
You do need time to get the DEP to approve whatever you do, because there's.
That is true. That is true.
Yes.
Because it is, correct, and Mr. Ford is correct, that because it is an environmental site that's under remediation, any disturbance, this I'm treating the building slab as a cap,
Yes, yes.
by the way, so any disturbance that is going to require involvement with the LSRPs and the DEP before that demolition. That's absolutely correct.
So we did have this conversation last time also about what needs to stay and what doesn't need to stay. Our borough engineer tells us all you need is the ground level
Slab.
flat to take care of whatever issues you have as far as permitting is concerned.
Mr. Castle, that the slab is, it holds grade close to where Orlando Drive is slightly higher and extends to the back of the building. So if the walls come down, this is still going to be visible as a low structure.
Okay, but in my opinion is that if legally, all we need to maintain is a slab there and we can take the rest of that out, it's an eyesore and it needs to go.
Well, is there any more factual, plenty of time for us to discuss.
Sure, you can ask, they don't have to answer questions, by the way, you can ask it.
Can I ask
If they're
a question?
if they're not-
I didn't think the building was built on a slab, I thought there was a basement down there. That is
There is
just-
a basement, the first floor slab, I said.
So basically, they want you to demolish half the building and then come back when you want to do it and do the rest.
Got it.
It's just gonna cost you a
Yeah,
lot
first, it's
more.
a first floor slab.
And
that's why-
That's a little slightly higher than Orlando Drive.
I just had a sidebar with Stan involving the timelines for all of this. And Stan is recommending 90 days just because there are DEP permits and reviews that need to be obtained before the owner can actually demolish it. That's, we can't force them to violate.
But they haven't applied for any of these permits, is that correct,
Correct.
Stan?
As far as we know, that's,
Well, they've not applied for any land use permits, no.
What about DEP permits?
Well, that's the ones in connection with the demolition, you
Demolition,
have to apply.
they'll have to apply it before they can
Demolition.
So
demolish.
when are you going to do that?
Well, if we order,
Well-
if the council issues an order of demolition, then before that occurs, the demolition, they have to apply for the permit, and that's something that has to be done. And Stan is recommending, if the council wants to go that route, 90 days for that to occur. Which frankly seems reasonable to take into account the DEP. No offense to the DEP.
So what happens at the end of 90
Anything
days?
else?
What happens at the end of 90 days? They have to have what?
Well, it's up to council what they have to have, but if the council wants to issue an order of demolition, it would be, the building would be demolished within 90 days, you could set timelines prior to that for the application to the DEP for the necessary permits, for applications to Lou, for the demolition permits, all of that, but putting the end game at 3 months out, that the building is demolished.
Which would be standard under any unfit building determination.
Right, the earliest you can issue a demolition order is 30 days out, right, you can't issue any earlier than 30 days, 90 days frankly seems
You're adding 60
reasonable.
days more.
Right, and that seems involving, the fact that they have to work with an administrative agency of the state to get the necessary approvals, that seems reasonable.
But that application hasn't even been made. if
But they haven't
recall.
made it yet because they haven't been ordered to demolish the building.
I think we'll give them 90 days, that's it.
This has nothing to do with the riparian setback, this has to do with the disturbance of, or potential disturbance of soils that are under remediation.
Yeah,
And
Luke
certainly
could
speak
not
to that.
Luke can't issue a demo permit until he
Without-
has that.
Right.
Would that tank leave too?
What the-
There's a steel tank outside the building at the end of Woman Street. It's silver, it's gray.
Yes.
There's a tank that's approximately 30 feet long, and it's about 6 or 7 feet in diameter.
Pretty big.
That was your question.
Right.
It's right in front.
That's the tank.
Where I bought it.
What's the
It's your
question?
building.
Whether, when you demolish, you're gonna remove the tank.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
that's not agreeing to whatever action we're taking.
Anything else?
No, so,
I have 2 questions. Sure. I think you partially answered one of them, but with respect to unfit building, there seemed to be a little bit of discussion that added a little bit of perhaps confusion about whether or not the specific site had any overt health and safety and welfare issues, as well as whether, or whether or not that is more of a general community that goes beyond the site. And I would just like you to say which is, or is it both?
It's both.
Okay. Then the second issue is that I think, if I read correctly, that we had the fire a year ago, and I would wonder if we've had any incidences that required attention from the police department during that year. Chief, would you know offhand?
No, sir.
You wouldn't know, or there were?
I wouldn't know, I'd have to go look it up.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, good. Anything else, any other, Counselor? Anything?
So we're gonna do the 90 days,
Whatever you guys have a consensus for, right?
90
So,
days?
so I would just recommend, if you're gonna do that, building into that order, timelines for application.
Like we have with the others.
Correct. Application to the DEP for whatever permits they need to get to effectuate the demolition.
Yeah.
Timelines for applying to Lou for the permit, which obviously is gonna require approval from the DEP first, and then ultimate demolition and raising of the building and removal of the building at 90 days out. So I don't know what those timelines are, and support if we had any suggestions as to Stan, if you have any suggestions.
Well, Lou, I think we did this with respect to two others. And if I recall, if I recall correctly, there is a time of essentially appeal, which I thought
30
was
days.
30 days. And then after the 30 days, I believe there may have been a 15-day period.
We have 30, 45, and 60 on the other ones.
Okay. So then it would be in the 60th day that you would expect to have a permit. Or the 45th, that's what I'm.
Well, no,
Application for a permit?
I'm sorry, application for a permit.
Application for a permit. Right.
On the 60th
Now,
day?
this is it, but that 45 or 60 days is told, T-O-L, okay, thank you, by, as I understood it, what Mr. Schreck is suggesting, a 60-day period of time wherein the DEP would act, unless I'm misunderstanding this.
Right, so Lou cannot issue a demolition permit, and the owner cannot demolish the building legally without approval from the DEP
Right.
for the disturbance that's gonna occur.
So then the actions run in parallel. So what we do is we have a finding, they have 30 days, so maybe 15 days after that. So that's 45 days of the initial 60 days that you're talking about. Is that correct? 60 days to go to the DEP and get a permit. You said, someone said
So I
it
would
required
recommend, I would
90.
recommend 30 days, Mayor,
30.
on that.
Well, that's what I'm trying to be
Yes.
precise, because
To
precise.
make
To
application,
make application to
they
DEP,
can't,
30
they
days.
can't control the review.
No, they cannot control the review time, so 30 days, within 30 days, apply to the DEP for the necessary permits that they're gonna require in order to demolish the
Okay.
building.
And so we have 30 days, which is the time for appeal. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then we have 30 they filed for a permit with the DEP within 30 days.
Mhm.
That's 60 days. And now what happens after the 60 days?
Well, okay, so I'm viewing them as running concurrently.
Fine,
Consecutive.
that's fine, that's fine.
Right, so it would be 30 days,
So 30 days for both, fine. That's why I'm asking the questions, I want to get it right.
30 days for application to DEP,
Okay.
and then, as Stan said, they can't, the owner cannot control, and the support can't control the review process with
Well-
DEP. So you could set 90 days as the demolition, and then you could, I don't know, what the suggestions as to status update in between the 30 days and the 90 days as to, so maybe at 60 days, a letter update as to where you're at in your application
That's
to
fine.
DEP.
That's fine.
90 days to demolish, and depending upon what the DEP is saying, then the council can always extend out the 90 days. But if we get the approval from the DEP, then we move forward.
And keep us informed of the application submittal, copies of it, who the reviewer is, we can find out.
So you want copies of the
Application.
applications and DEP?
Most of the review.
Okay.
All right, So Lou, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, they have to obtain letters from any utilities that serve the property, so they should apply for all those letters as soon as possible.
Are there any utilities currently at the property?
No.
So
None?
Yeah, so that, but they have to still get a letter from
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
utilities
Okay.
that serve the saying that everything's been disconnected.
That's fine.
Yeah,
That's why I asked the question, but.
You know, utilities, you need a rat permit.
and then a rodent abatement
Rodent
certification.
Oh,
A rodent abatement
Okay.
certification is required before we can release the permit.
okay.
So they should just be aware of that so that, they get that taken care of and include the certification in with their application for the permit.
Okay, so 30 days for the application to New Jersey DEP, 60 days to provide, at 60 days, provide an update as to the status of the application, keep as well as provide copies of the application to the borough.
When submitted?
When submitted, correct, when submitted, and you just copy Stan on that. 90 days for demolition, in the meantime, apply even necessary permits for the utilities, the road abatement, everything else you need to do. Anything else? Reporting.
Well, the tank that we're talking about too, you have to look into, if that's a regulated tank, if that tank is regulated by the DEP, you also need to get something from the DEP on that, on the removal of that tank, prior to us issuing a demo permit for that.
Including the removal of the tank. Okay, so
All right.
that would be the motion,
Would anyone like to make that motion?
that would be resolution.
And I would like to have you read.
79.
Yeah.
Councilman Giraldi, would you like to,
I'd like to.
why don't you say what the motion is, and maybe Mr.
Okay.
Velarde will.
So it's a motion to issue an order requiring the owner of 21 Orlando Drive to do the following. Within 30 days, apply to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for the necessary permits and/or approvals required to demolish the structure, as well as removal of the tank that's on the property,
And debris.
and of course, removal of debris as well. To provide within, and to, at the same time simultaneously to provide a courtesy copy of that application to the borough via the engineer, Stan Schreck. To, at 60 days, provide an update to the borough regarding the status of the approval process with New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. And at 90 days to complete the demolition and removal of the debris on the property, as well as to obtain the necessary certificates for the rodent abatement, as well as any approvals or sign-offs from the utility that may be needed. That's the motion.
I make that motion.
One more thing.
To the first
Sorry.
floor.
If I may, one small item at the end, that we had restoration of any borough property. There was damage to curbing and during the fire. I expect there would be further damage during demolition.
I make that motion.
Second?
But that's gonna say to the first floor slab.
Yes, to the first, all right, very good, to the first floor slab.
I'll second that.
I make that motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray,
Yes.
Councilwoman Danilo,
Yes.
Councilman Fooey,
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi.
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia.
Yes.
Thank you for coming back twice. Appreciate the time. Thank you.